Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Canadian Football Central, CFL content for the fans, by the fans, and we have our Week 12 preview coming right up. Got a lot of interesting games, especially for me and Rick, but we're gonna...
Oh, and a lot of interesting news, my friend.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, before we get into that, make sure you guys leave a like, share the video around, and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the little notification bell. And if you're on Spotify, give us 5 stars. We'd really, really appreciate that.
Don't make Carter beg, please.
Exactly. Don't make me beg, please. And we're going to get started in the first game of the week, Thursday, August 22nd, Saskatchewan at Toronto. And this will be the first game of the 2024 season for Chad Kelly for the Toronto.
This is going to be the C&E game. I will be in person behind the Saskatchewan bench. So, here's the thing. Yesterday, Dinwiddie said that he was going to split both quarterback positions on Toronto in case we have another Nathan Rourke episode. And then he announces him today that he's starting. So, with that being said, we will start with the injuries, because there's some big ones. Daniel Adnoboye is questionable.
Yep.
Isaiah Cage, offensive lineman, available. Quincy Moget, available. Tommy Neal, out. But here comes the interesting side for Saskatchewan. Ajo, available. CJ Avery, available. Amari Henderson, out. Jackson Ford, out. Micah Johnson, available. AJ Ouellette, available. Questionable, doubtful, or out.
So, really just no idea.
Oh, I know. I'm looking at it. I'm just asking you.
Oh, like, gonna say available.
What do you think?
Available.
He's out.
Ooh.
Mitchell Picton is out. Keon Schaefer-Baker is questionable.
Oh.
Aqua Straker is available. Nick Webby is out. And Deontay Williams, defensive back, is available. But that is the injury news.
So this is going to be very interesting, just because, I mean, for Toronto, desperately needing a starting quarterback, they get the starting quarterback they're looking for. But as we've seen, you don't always make an impact in that first game back. Nathan Rourke comes back and just not able to perform, was not able to do what was required. So even if Chad Kelly is going to be able to perform and get up to speed, I'm not necessarily convinced that it's this game. Saskatchewan has shown that they've been able to play well and win games when AJ Ouellette is out. Hickson's been able to do just fine in that spot. Schaefer-Baker, he's been out a few weeks. Myers has done a very good job for Saskatchewan, kind of being a top-of-the-line receiver while Schaefer-Baker is on the sidelines there. Sean Bain Jr. has been decent. MLS has kind of taken on a little bit of a bigger role. Stearns is able to kind of, here and there, he's able to kind of take up some, able to make a bit more of a crack than sometimes. I don't know. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. Brett Lothar, this is a guy who really needs a bounce-back week, and I think it's very possible he could have that. It's one of those things where even if he has a bad week, I can't imagine 3-7 again, as that is just a special kind of bad game. And at the end of the day, Saskatchewan, toe-to-toe with the best team in the league, the Montreal Alouettes, and just barely coming up short just by 3 points with Toronto on a bye week right now. Week 11, they were on a bye week. Week 10, 39-25 victory over the Stampeders. If we go back to week 9, they had a 27-23 loss to the Stampeders. So kind of being around par with Calgary in that sense, being kind of the Calgary out of in the East per se. But again, them getting Chad Kelly back can make some differences. I'm not necessarily convinced that it does immediately, though. I don't know how you're feeling about this game, Rick, but overall, how are you looking towards this game between Saskatchewan and Toronto?
I mean, we all know what Harris can do. We know what the offense on Saskatchewan can do and their defense.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's Kelly's first game back.
And Harris, reminder, Harris last week, 355 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 31 for 39. That's nothing. We found that it's been a little strange in the sense of guys coming off injury have done a bit better than guys that have been out for other reasons, whether that was Chad Kelly and everything that he had been dealing with, or Nathan Rourke, who had been up in the NFL. So
it's gonna be interesting to see. I'm just trying to find the numbers. The last 2 games, I mean, besides this game against Ottawa, the game against Montreal, Hickson had 117. And then the game that he played against Edmonton, he had 89 rushing yards. So with Ouellette out, you can bet he's probably going to be playing.
Yep.
Then Toronto rebounds with Carey. I'm saying it all comes down to how well Chad Kelly does.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question. Chad Kelly, I mean, it's one of those things where if Toronto's going to do anything, Chad Kelly needs to fully kind of settle back into, well, not quite where they left off, because if he settles back into where they left off, that was completely blowing it in that Eastern final. But for Toronto here, the really key thing is that Chad Kelly comes back to that 2023 regular season Chad Kelly form, which is entirely possible. However, I will say, I think all things considered, I think the Riders got a little bit more going for them. And so I'm going to be picking Saskatchewan to spoil Chad Kelly's return.
I just think, like, the receivers for Saskatchewan and their defense, I just don't think there's going to be enough chemistry between the receivers and Kelly to get onto the same page.
Not immediately. No, not after a whole season up to then with Cameron Duke's very different quarterback. And Nick Arbuckle, also a very different quarterback. And so I don't see that transitioning happening that quick. Even if they eventually get into a little bit of something this game, I think at that point it'll be too little too late. And even if Brett Lothar has a halfway decent game, then they have this in the bag. And it's one of those things. Brett Lothar, again, 3 for 7 last week. However, Saskatchewan only loses by 3 points. If Brett Lothar just hits 50% of the ones that he missed, Saskatchewan wins that game. And so just an important thing to remember. So because of that, I got Saskatchewan. You taking Saskatchewan as well?
Yes, sir.
Which brings us to the Friday game, where
the one where we swap around.
Your Hamilton's
I'll be watching from home, and Carter will be in.
And I will be live at IG Field, as I will be cheering on my Bombers. Gonna be might have a little bit of a long preview on this one.
So the interesting note that I wanted to save from the review for today is, I don't remember if I told you this.
Yeah.
Chris Jones is working for free for us.
So that's how you go. So that's why you hired Chris Jones. Holy shit!
Well, no,
easy on the budget.
Well, no, because that's why he has the title that he does. Is because Farhan had announced it the other day that when they let go of
Mark Washington,
Chris Jones. No, when Mr. Thompson fired Chris Jones.
Yeah.
he bought out his contract. So
Yeah.
he's getting paid by Edmonton, but working for Hamilton.
So Chris Jones is
And
still making that money.
Chris Jones, my lord, if you don't show on defense, they've already released Kenneth George Jr. today, the one that was always getting beat on secondary. I honestly think Chris Jones is putting his mark on this defense.
And that could be a very good thing for a team that has been very upset with Mark Washington. Or this could just be the next chapter of disaster.
Well, I mean, so apparently another thing to add to this whole Chris Jones thing is he's only, like, with this non-paying contract, do you remember when Milanovic first came in? Like, Milanovic was
offensive coordinator.
Not really an offensive coordinator, but he was overseeing things.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember that.
I do not.
That's kind of honestly... No, I'm saying, like, just before that, where he's kind of, like, overseeing things as, like, a senior consultant or something like that. So, he's not obliged to stay next year. If we want to let him go and say you're gone at the end of the season, but he's gone. Like, we're not...
You're in the driver. The Ticats are in the driver's seat.
In the driver's seat.
Which is...
So, if we, give up 30 points a game for the rest of the season, we have no commitment to him next year.
Yeah, and honestly, even a bit of a clean slate in Hamilton might be what you guys need.
And I think, because as you know from watching a few of our games, you've seen a lot of zone. I don't think you see as much zone. I think you'll see a lot of more man and blitzes from Chris Jones with our defense.
Oh, yeah.
Powell and Luther Hakuninavanu were both placed on the 6th game today.
Yep.
You also have James Butler full and ready to go. So, Winnipeg defensive line, he's coming for you.
Willie Jefferson.
Then we also have Desmond Patman, too. And Lawrence Woods the third is starting to make a comeback.
That Winnipeg defensive line is going to do just fine.
Yeah, for now.
They're going to do just fine. They're going to figure it out. Celestin Haba, he'll be able to perform. Willie Jefferson, this is a man who, every time he plays those Ticats, is a little bit of the boogeyman there for Hamilton. Able to cause a lot of problems in the backfield there. Really hoping for a good game from Willie Jefferson. I think it's very, very much possible. I think a big opportunity for Winnipeg here. This defense has just been rock solid against one of the better offenses in the league in the BC Lions. I mean, 7 straight quarters of no points for BC, and I think that this offense has a lot. This defense, has a big potential to just be a problem in the secondary for Hamilton. I think shutting down Shamar Bridges is going to be really, really key. Keeping an eye on Tim White will be key. Again, it's not like Tim White has really had a great season, but it's one of those things where you don't want to allow that to change. You want to keep that exactly where it's been, and so I think one of the things that's going to be really, really key here for Winnipeg is going to be a defense that is adjusting to a brand new system that Chris Jones is bringing in. Chris Jones is going to be making probably as many changes as he can in the time that he's there. Hamilton's going to be kind of limited in terms of the amount of different plays they'll be able to run, because you can only learn a playbook so quickly. And so I think Buck Pierce is going to need to really, really take note of what exactly Chris Jones is giving him, and as the game goes on, adjust his play calling to be able to properly kind of put out the best plays to get around him. I want to see Lucky Whitehead still on that jet sweep. I don't want to see Dembski doing that. I want to see what Lucky Whitehead doing that. He just works better in that spot. Dembski is kind of a bit of a switchblade. I like sometimes going for that deep ball, sometimes for those short, kind of Drew Wolotarski almost kind of spot with some of those cross routes. Really, really good spot for him. Keeps him as an unpredictable receiver. Same with Kenny Lawler. They were doing that a bit last game, having him run some cross routes that he normally wouldn't. But he was able to do well and was able to catch the BC defense off guard. So I think that's going to be very good. And Ontario Wilson, it is that
versus
time to,
Shamar Bridges.
It is that time to outshine Mr. Shamar Bridges. Ontario Wilson, my God, you need a good game, my guy. And Brady Oliveira, I want to see 100. I want to see 100 yards rushing. I know he can do it.
You know what the interesting thing was that I seen about that is I went to go look online this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Shamar Bridges is only less than 30 yards behind Holland for third in receiving.
Damn.
And so Bridges has 746. Then you have Hardy with 690. And then Wilson's in 6th with 618.
To be fair, Wilson's also played less games. Pretty sure.
They have him down as...
Because I don't think he started the season on the receiving corps.
Yeah, he had one catch on the 7th. So he's played every game except for week 10. Yes.
So it could, you know what it probably was then? If he got so little, it was probably because he was dressed for that game and had to go in later because this was the game.
So
Dalton Schoen goes down, and Kenny Lawler then does the following week. So it was one of those things where he probably was able to play a little bit, was not able to get kind of the same kind of opportunities. But then kind of was forced into that in either game 1 or game 2 at some point.
Week 1 he went 1 for 1. Week 2 against Ottawa he went 0-3. Then he went 3-4, 2-4, 2-5, 13 for 16, 2-7, 7-7 or 7-9, 7-9, and then 3-4. So he's played every game.
Yep. No, I just wasn't sure if he had brought in partly through that first game, just because Kenny Lawler gets injured, I think, in the second game, and I think Dalton Schoen goes down in that first game. So, but anyways, so hoping for a good game from Ontario Wilson. Sergio Castillo got to continue being money. It's Mark Leggio. You can beat him, no problem.
Please.
Sheehan. I want to see a solid game for him. Although I'm not going to lie, I hope he isn't touching the field too much as a punter. I want to see the special teams downfield coverage continue to be possibly the best downfield coverage on special teams this year in the CFL. As I mean, they have given up almost nothing when it comes to yards on the punt return, on the kick return, but especially that punt return. I mean, Janarian Grant had absolutely no room in that game against Toronto. In Toronto, Janarian Grant has been the best returner this year. So I think it's one of those things, if they can keep that going, that'll be really, really key. Evan Holm, I want to see a pick. Terrell Ford, continue your shit. I'm excited.
I'm hoping that we lay off those damn penalties for the bloody love of God. And Bo Levi Mitchell, please, 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 please do not throw a damn pick. And we need to see more out of our receivers because we have 4 receivers in the top 12 in yardage this season. Would not be much to ask if Keandre Smith, Stephen Dunbar, and Tim White each got 300 yards, because then we would have 4 receivers with 800 yards each. In 8 games, it's possible, people.
So,
the funny thing is, Zach Claris goes against his former club that he used to play for years.
You could say the same.
Not that it's the first
Brendan
time.
O'Leary Orange.
Yeah, too bad that O'Leary Orange wasn't playing, because then that would have been nice. But
it is what it is. But I think we both know who we're taking in this game. I'm taking my Blue Bombers.
And I'm taking my Ticats.
That's exactly the way everyone expected that to go. So, anyways, we'll move on to the next one, though. We have the BC Lions taking on the Ottawa Redblacks on the Saturday game, August 24th, 6 p.m. Central Time start. Rick?
This is the game of this week that I have a hard time picking.
Because what Nathan Rourke do we get? Because we've learned that this is not an immediate impact Nathan Rourke. Because, I mean, well, the impact wasn't immediate, at least not positive.
But, I mean, even if Nathan Rourke has somewhat of a better game, I'm not saying has, like, a Trevor Harris, 400 yards, 4 touchdowns type game. But I'm saying, okay, 230, a couple of touchdowns. They're going up against Jeremiah Mazzoli, who won them last week's game.
Yep, that's true. 1 touchdown, no interception, 254 yards passing, 27 for 35. Man, I don't know. This is a difficult one. So, Jeremiah Mazzoli, though, 77% last week. Pretty darn good. And it was one of those things where, like, that passing game for Winnipeg was a real killer for them. And so I think Ottawa has a lot of potential there. And in addition to that, Armstead, 120 yards last game against Calgary. BC, again, even though BC is a better team than Calgary, I'd say BC has no momentum. They are 0-4. This is a team that has struggled to produce offense, only putting up 15 points against Edmonton and only putting up 11 points against Winnipeg in 2 games. And so it's been very, very problematic for the Lions, and they got to figure out a way to get out of that slump.
The other thing that I was going to mention is, don't forget, William Stanback also had 15 carries for 100 yards.
That is true.
So it's Rourke versus Mazzoli. Then you have Stanback versus Armstead, White versus Lewis.
But here's the thing to compare. Now, obviously, Stanback has been able to do quite well. But, I mean, if you look at the Stampeders, Hill got 38 yards rushing, and he was their leading rusher. Now, again, a Stanback is better than him. But it's one of those things where it's not like Ottawa was really giving up very much, though, too. So, Ottawa being able to do well in the run defense this past game, and it's possible that can kind of transpire again. Well, they'll have to see.
I just think BC has better receivers than Ottawa does.
They do, but the thing is, but
that then Ottawa has better defense.
I don't think anyone really questions if BC has more talent on the roster than Ottawa. But the thing is that even though they have that talent, they haven't been able to use it. Again, this is the same thing that has plagued. Actually, it's funny because right now, actually, BC is having a problem that Ottawa has had for the past 2 seasons. Where I don't know if anyone was questioning the talent they had about the roster. It was that they weren't able to then properly use that roster. So, this could be problematic here for the Red Blacks. I know Rick's not hearing me, but this to the wonderful people watching at home. I think this could be problematic for the Lions because, again, all I was saying, Rick, to the wonderful people at home is that the BC Lions right now are kind of like the Ottawa Red Blacks a few prior seasons in the sense of that they have all the talent in the world, but they're showing that they don't know how to use it. And so it's just kind of an interesting familiarity to this. And so with BC, I mean, 4-game slump. They got to figure it out at some point. I don't know. I'm having a hard time picking this one.
I'm picking this off of a damn coin because this could go 50-50.
I think I know who I'm picking, but I'll let you go first.
Oh, crap. First off, I'm going to... Okay. Who are we picking here first? Because I've
heads will be Lions because it has a lion head on it.
Okay. And tails will be Ottawa.
Yeah.
Oh. So I am going with Ottawa.
Want to know a funny thing, too?
You're going with Ottawa?
Also picking Ottawa. And I didn't need to flip a coin for that. it's one of those things where I think the Ottawa Red Blacks are being seriously underestimated this year just because of their performance in prior seasons. After our conversation with Shane and everything I've seen from this Red Blacks team, I think, they've earned that right to be called the favorite in this game. So I'm going with Ottawa, which will leave us with just the Sunday game between the Edmonton Elks and the Montreal Alouettes. Now, The Edmonton Elks have been recently on a bit of a heater. I will say here, though, I don't know if it's that big of a heater. Again, this is a Montreal team 9-1 going into this game. Only lost one game this season. Edmonton, of course, going 0-7 to start the year. And since then has been able to do pretty decent. Three consecutive wins. So a big deal there for Edmonton. But do we know can you give us kind of the injury report on that game, Rick?
So neither team has practice because they don't practice till Wednesday because it's a Sunday game.
Also, context for people, this is being recorded on the Tuesday, August the 20th at around 8:30 Central, just so if some of the information we just do not have yet, even though this will be released the next day. But yeah, so Trey Ford's still out, right? Or do we just really have no idea, Rick? What's it looking like?
If only I knew. Let me see here.
Is he on the 6th game or no? I don't think he is.
No, he's on the single game.
Yeah.
But that could also be a simple game-to-game situation.
Yep, no, that's true. Bethel Thompson was able to do decent last game, but there's no guarantees.
But also, at the same time...
Leak got injured, right?
Leak did get injured, but they haven't...
We don't know yet if he will be out for this next game, but it is not a guarantee that he is in. So Rankin was able to do well in his spot. Receiving core for Edmonton able to perform well, but I mean, we also have to realize that this is Austin Mack coming back to the Montreal Alouettes.
But also at the same time, I mean, yeah, he didn't start last week, but Cody Fajardo did dress.
Yeah. So it's possible that Fajardo even starts this game, possibly.
I mean, if you really think about it, does it really matter if he does start or not?
Probably not. Davis Alexander's done fantastic.
It's just a matter of if Trey Ford's starting or not.
That would make a big difference. And I don't know. Even if Trey Ford is starting, this Montreal team has been so good and so dominant that I'm not sure if it matters for Edmonton. I don't know. Because if we look back at this past game, Davis Alexander, 22 for 33, 285 passing yards, one touchdown, average of 8.6 yards on average. So good performance for him. Defensively, they had been decent, but they probably want to get more in the sack department, maybe a pick, which they were not able to get last game. There's no question that this defensive line and the secondary can make those plays, but I think, there's a lot of they have an easier chance of Bethel Thompson's playing this game, and my guess would be that Bethel Thompson plays, and that Trey Ford is probably back the following week
for Labor Day.
So I don't know, Rick. What do you think?
Are you saying who do I think is going to win?
Yeah.
So when we were doing our review the other day, I was entering in my picks. So I had Saskatchewan, Hamilton. I did the coin flip for the BC Ottawa game, and my gut goes with my guts, and I am picking Montreal to win.
I'm also picking Montreal. So we are actually the exact same this week,
except
the game that matters for us. The Winnipeg Hamilton game, of course.
So either we're going to be really bad, or one of us is going to have a perfect week.
Yeah, whatever happens, one of us will have a slightly better week than the other. Oh man, I'm hyped for a game against each other. Also, I'm glad that we got ourselves a home game because it's been a little bit.
I'm kind of interested to see how Saskatchewan does against Toronto.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people watching that game. I am curious to see what the fan reception to this game is going to be.
Oh,
From
speaking of fan receptions, because I know that you're busy at work today. I was doing some social media searching today. There are some Rider fans and some Ticat fans who are taking up a collection for every time Chad Kelly is sacked, throws a pick, or forced fumble to donate the money to, let me gather it. They are raising money for the, what is it? The sexual assault centers in Saskatchewan and Hamilton because of what Shelly Cat did. So you would never see Ticat fans and Saskatchewan fans work together to raise money.
Well, and the interesting thing is that no matter
interception.
What, and the interesting thing is no matter what your opinion is on the situation, no matter what anyone thinks, the idea of people banding together for any sort of charity work is a good thing. Regardless of any of that other stuff, what's true, what's not, whatever it is, it's a good thing seeing people come together for the purposes of charity. And so I think that that is a good thing. And it's one of those things. I'm curious if I'm able to watch this game on TV, exactly what I observe, whether that's the audience, whether that is just kind of social media and this and that, which will always be hotly contested space. But I imagine this will be especially for this game, and so I think it'll be an interesting watch. So, Rick, is there anything else we're missing here?
Yes.
Oh,
I don't know when this video is coming out.
It'll come out tomorrow.
No, I was doing a little promotion for something else.
Yeah.
We are also going to be sitting down and doing the Ticat mid-season review.
That is right.
Which is going to be a therapy session for myself.
And that will probably be going up in a few days. We recorded a Calgary one, which will be going up a day after this preview goes up, and then the Ticats one will go up the following day. So, and
then while Carter is at the game Friday night, I will be live streaming it over on Ticats Talk Network.
So make sure you guys check that out. Also, make sure you guys check out. We're going to be doing a video with Nelson Hakowicz, who had created all the CFL teams on College Football 25, and I think as well in Madden 25, through the team builder there. And we're going to kind of talk with him about all his work that he's done, how he's take some community questions, all this and that. So make sure if you guys have any questions for him, comment that down below or message any of our socials. We'll respond to any and all of them if you have any questions for him. So I think without further ado, make sure you guys leave a like, share the video around, give it a subscribe, hit the little notification bell if you haven't already, and if you're on Spotify, leave 5 stars. We'd really appreciate that. Rick, is there anything else?
Yes, I will be on the Elks herd tomorrow.
Yes, so make sure you check that out. That should be going live, I believe, 8:30 Mountain Time out there in Edmonton. So 9:30 here out in Winnipeg and 10:30 out Eastern. So make sure you guys check that out. Without further ado, peace, love, and positivity to all you wonderful people at home, and we'll see you guys next time.